aquí está Marc Gené, piloto de pruebas de la Ferrari.
We're very honored tonight to have the opportunity to have Marc Gené here, who is the current Ferrari test driver and has been for quite a while. Storied career, many races in Formula One, and worked with many teams over the years. So I'd like to bring up Marc, if he could, from the back. Marc Gené, everybody. We have a few minutes with Marc, and just want to do a quick Q&A. So Marc, we know you are with Ferrari, you're a test driver, but it's probably much more than that. Why don't you explain to everybody what your role is with Ferrari?
Yes, hello everybody. I joined Ferrari 10 years ago as a test and reserve driver initially, then I've been test driver ever since. Of course, when I joined Ferrari was for testing. At that time, 10 years ago, there was unlimited testing. That means every team decided how much testing the team was doing, and Ferrari, we had, let's say, an advantage because we own two test tracks. We own Fiorano, which is where the Ferrari road cars are developed. Fiorano is within Maranello. And then we also own Mugello. And that gave us a lot of flexibility. We had flexibility that other teams did not have, because we did not have to book the circuit. We could go there anytime, and that was good. That was during the good period when we won so much with Schumacher. Then the rules came whereby testing started to be polished and started to be reduced, and up to a point where there is almost no testing now. So what happened then? When Ferrari started to foresee that testing was going to be so reduced, I started developing the simulator. I worked on the simulator around 8 years ago. I spent 5 years just developing it from zero. And now, as I said, it's very little testing, and most of the development is done through the simulator. I also work with other departments. There's one department very interesting at Ferrari whereby very important VIP clients can buy the Formula One cars, the current Formula One cars. Always with a 3-year delay for technology reasons, but only Ferrari has in place a department whereby you can drive the Formula One car, and I coach these very lucky clients, amongst other things, you know. So that's my job. I go to all the Grand Prix to help Fernando and Kimi in any way I can. I work with this F1 Cliente is the name, and then I do work on the simulator.
Very good. And speaking of rules changes, 2013 to 2014, huge rules changes, right? Tell us a little bit how the partnership between Shell and Ferrari really had to get to work to be ready for 2014.
Yeah, the rule change that just happened this year is probably the biggest in Formula One history. You have to think that through the years, yes, it's true, many years ago the engines were free, and at that time in 1990s, 2000s, even the V12 engines were in place. Then the rules said you have to use V10 engines, still very powerful at that time. Then we went from V10 to V8, which was the current era. And then this year, the FIA, who is the governing body who sets the rules, said, okay, we have to go for efficiency. Formula One has to follow the trend of motorsport, the trend of how the world is going in mobility, you know. And they said, we want to make engines who are very efficient. And this year, and how to make the rules, what FIA did is, okay, you can only use 100 kilos of fuel per Grand Prix. That's how much fuel everybody's going to have tomorrow. No, not more than that. You're gonna put less, of course, but you're going to put 100 kilos of fuel. And with that, you have to finish the race. Now, this year 100 kilos is the equivalent of last year 150. I mean, last year's engines, the V8 engines of last year, they needed 150 liters of fuel to finish the Grand Prix. This year, we have similar performance. In fact, today, the pole time of today was quicker than last year. And that's going to be achieved with 1/3 of the fuel. That's how much more efficient the engines are this year. And that we work very strongly with Shell, because you can achieve efficiency by the engine. Of course, we have now turbocharged engines with smaller engines, just 1.6 cc, so it's a much smaller engine, turbocharged. But with Shell, we look for performance, because of course you can have more performance with the V-Power fuel. but also you can have efficiency, and efficiency is very important. In fact, tomorrow, these 100 kilos of fuel, they will not be totally enough. I mean, at some point, the drivers will have to save some fuel. You will not notice, you will not see the driver just going, really slowing down, but at some point, he's going to lift a little bit the throttle, just to make sure he's going to make it to the end of the race. And that's why it's so important efficiency, and that's why it's so important working with Shell, giving us a fuel that makes us go a little bit longer with the fuel we have on board.
Very good. And we're in our third year here at COTA, Circuit of the Americas, after an absence of about 5 years. How important is it to have Formula One back in the United States?
When I first raced in Formula One in 1999, I raced in Indianapolis. It was the first time we went to the States for a long, long time. It went well. I mean, I have to say, I raced there in 1999 and in 2000, and it was successful, but not the success that we have here in COTA, you know. And Formula One is very surprised. The fact that it's sold out tomorrow, the fact that there is so much awareness, the fact that the city is living this Grand Prix, and Formula One, we are delighted to be here, and we are so happy that Americans, fans, they all really follow it so much. So it's going very well. It's one of the most successful Grand Prix at the moment, and it was a big surprise because we did not expect such a nice welcome from the American fans to Formula One.
With the current drivers, how do they like COTA as a track and its layout? Do they like racing here?
Yes, if you've seen, I know you've been to the racetrack today, Turn 1 is very special, of course, you know, this uphill, that's not very common to have this type of turns in Formula 1, not at all. And then the corners after that, the first sector is like 6 or 7 corners, all high speed. And to have a section like that, you only have in Silverstone in England, and there's another very nice Grand Prix in Suzuka in Japan. So COTA now, if you would rate which is the circuit that we drivers like the most, it would definitely be in our top 3, top 4. And that's very good because you want to drive a Formula 1 car in a circuit that it really gives you a feeling of going fast, and COTA is one of them.
That's great. So as we look to tomorrow, with a lot of strategy being discussed today based on today's qualifying and practice, what would you expect from both drivers? Different strategy approach to the race, or what would be the difference between Kimi and Alonso?
Yeah, there's 2 things very important tomorrow. Before I spoke that we look for performance and we look for efficiency with Shell. There's another third aspect that is very important that may affect the strategy tomorrow, and that's reliability. Another rule for this year was that you cannot use more than 5 engines for the whole season. Now, to do 19 races with 5 engines, and I mean 5 engines for the whole weekend, means that you have to do a lot of kilometers. Now, with the current engines, you have to do 4,000 kilometers in order not to get a penalty. I'm saying this because tomorrow you're going to see Sebastian Vettel starting from the pits, and that is because he has to use a 6th engine, and that's the penalty you get when you have to use another unit of the engine. So that will affect tomorrow's strategy because we are all in the limit on kilometers, and reliability you can also. We have great help from Shell on the fuel and the lubricant. So reliability, not only efficiency, reliability now is a big thing. And it will have an impact tomorrow because towards the end of the season, the engines are more tired, they have more kilometers. Now, other than reliability, so I'm saying this because do not be surprised if someone, of course I hope it's not us, could be, I hope not, but someone has a problem because the engines, the gearbox, everybody's stretching them to the limit because they don't want to use this 6th unit because that gives a big penalty on the Grand Prix after. On the how many pit stops you're going to see, last year we only saw 1. Last year the tires were very consistent. This year Pirelli, the tire supplier, he took some tires which are softer, which I think is going to be good for the show. Now tomorrow I expect 2 pit stops. So it's 1 more than last year, maybe even 3. Because there is good tire degradation, but both drivers should be on the same strategy. So what we do is, now in Maranello, back in Italy, they are deciding which is the optimum strategy if everything goes to plan. Then of course during the race you have to be flexible, because maybe you have a good start and then maybe the tires degrade more or less, or the consumption of the fuel is more or less, and you have to adapt to it. But tomorrow morning before the race, we're going to have a meeting, we're going to have a video conference with the strategy team, which is based in Italy, and they are going to tell us, in an ideal world, what would be the ideal lap to stop. And then the engineers, during the race, they'll be in contact with Maranello and they'll be adapting the strategy to do the best possible. But both drivers will already have something very similar. So probably you'll see Fernando stopping, I don't know, lap 18, first pit stop, and Kimi lap 19. You know, there shouldn't be more than a 1 or 2 lap difference between them.
Este programa fue una producción de National Latino Broadcasting.